Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Katrina and this is I think this is going to be a first. This is a discussion video. Today, as of my taping this, I think it's June 24th. Yes, it's June 24th. I watched a video from Ashley at Bookish Realm, and she was talking about our Booktubers reviewers. And I thought that was such an interesting conversation because many times I have made the distinction that I'm not a reviewer. And I also have been watching Pavio at Attention talk about literary criticism. And he has a different idea of what makes a reviewer than what I feel. I think both, I might be putting words in Bookish Realm's mouth, but I think she believes if you review a book, if you talk about the book, you're reviewing it. And Pavio was saying that even if you're not, versed in the language of literary criticism, you still may be doing the critique in the way that a person who is learned in literary criticism is. And so I've always said, I tried my best to make sure I've called all of my book talks, book chats, book talks, quick bites, just everything but a reviewer, because I do believe that critics and reviewers have a responsibility. They have theory behind what they're reviewing. There are certain things that certain points that you need to hit if you're going to actually review a book. Plot points and themes and characters. Like half the time I can't even remember the characters' names. One of the questions that she asked was, what do you think a reviewer is? And that's what I think. I think it's someone who, I don't know if there's a school for criticism, but there is obviously, between English classes and literary criticism, communication, journalism, writing, being a librarian, there's all these things that can come together to make for a good critic, a good reviewer. And she also asked who has the authority to say. I don't know if anyone has the authority to say unless you're going to go get like a press pass, an association of reviewers or critics or something like that, or a journalist has the authority. When it comes to Booktube, I think the individual Booktuber does, because this is kind of a self-governing body. We all come at this for different reasons. We all watch other people for different reasons. And that was another question she asked, do you trust reviewers? And this is one of the things that I've always found interesting, is that I like personalities a lot, and I don't always read the majority of the people who I don't read a lot of the people's books that they're recommended. When I first came into Booktube, I was buying all the books and reading all the books that all the big booktubers were recommending. But then I realized, first of all, a lot of these people were adults, but they were reading young adult and all white books. I wasn't enjoying them. Lots of them were specifically fae, and not even though I love paranormal stuff, fae is not the thing for me. There were books that people were saying that they loved so much, and they were getting all these different versions of the book, and so I'd get the book and read it and just be like, and eventually some of those people I moved on from, and some of them I stayed around because I just really like their personality, but I don't read what they read. There's one girl who literally hates all the books that I love. So I actually will pick up books that she hates because she likes the same genre I like, but she never likes the same books that I like, and vice versa. So I have 50 million different reasons why I follow a booktuber. And for me, when I'm talking about a book, I'm really kind of doing it as a friend talking to you about a book. Like, unless it's the Toni Morrison books, unless it's the prison abolition books, I'm just giving you a vague impression of the book. Or like when I read Midnight Library, I actively thought that the end of that book was harmful. So I did talk about that. I still didn't call it a review. I said, let's talk about Midnight Library. So I feel like I'm just talking to a friend and saying, this is what's happened in this book, and I thought this was crazy, or I really like this. And you can take what I say or not. That's how I come at Booktube. I'm not a reviewer. So I just thought it was a very interesting conversation because I've talked about it before. She actually asked for input from people who watch more so than content creators. I still consider myself more of a watcher. My channel is so small. I don't have much of a footprint when it comes to content creation, but I am a viewer. So I wanted to respond from both sides because I really do still feel as though I am a watcher. She talked about wrap-ups as well. Like, she was like, do you think people who do wrap-ups should, she was wondering how can they have such short wrap-ups? Like somebody who will read all these books and, they'll read, 10 books or 50 books in a month, and their wrap-up video will still only be 15 minutes. And her, she will, Bookish Realm, Ashley at Bookish Realm, she will read, the same amount of books, but her wrap-up will be an hour and a half because she likes to talk and she wants to give you all of this information about the book. And I think for me, it's in between. If the book really affects me, and not just, it just gave me some joy, it gave me some laughs, but if it really affects me, Leave the World Behind. That book, I don't remember how long that video was. It's the one that for some reason has the most views on my channel. I don't know why. It was one of the more serious videos I made. I had made a couple random videos before that, but I really felt like I needed to answer some of the pushback I kept seeing about the book. I had gotten so much out of the book and I needed to explain. I felt that I think people of color explaining maybe what was going on underneath that book to people, a lot of the white reviewers who were saying nothing happened in the book, and the book was so chock full of subtext, and Black people and people of color instinctively know some of the things that are going on specifically in the terms of this book. But when it comes to white people, white culture, we have to know a lot more, and because it's what's going to keep us alive, number one. Number two, it's the dominant culture, so it's what we see everywhere. And then number three, for our safety and health, we have to be aware of these things. And so there was so much going on in Rahman Alam's book, Leave the World Behind, and there was one rant review that she just went on and on and on about how boring it was, how nothing happened, it didn't make sense. There was a couple scenes that she specifically brought up, and I was able to, point by point from a person of color's point of view, say this is what's going on. I mean, and even as a woman, I was surprised that she didn't see some of the feminist dynamics that were going on. It didn't put you had to pay attention, and you had to come to the ideas on your own. Nothing was pushed in your face, and except for some people of color, because it was glaring what was going on in some places in that book. And so even with that much input in that book, as much depth that I put into that book, it still was from my point of view, and I still didn't pull out, race theory or feminist theory, or I didn't pull out a bell hooks book and read why the feminist, tension was, it still came from my personal point of view as a woman and a Black woman. I don't know what emoji I'm gonna put. So just put this emoji here at the end of this. I'm running out of space. I'm gonna put Ashley's video down in the bottom so that you can go check it out and be easy on yourself. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.